Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and I'm back with another episode of my Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders playthrough with Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020. Going to do things a little different this time around. I'm actually far into the season. I'm actually ready to start our conference schedule, and I felt like the plan right now is just to get through as much of this MTSU playthrough as I can before 2021 is, I guess, stable enough and I can start a playthrough with that. I feel like from what I've seen and I guess from the developer himself, I don't know yet if I'll be able to import this 2020 save into 21, and I really want to play that new version. I've actually got it. I haven't had a whole lot of time to look at it yet, but I do really want to continue with it. And instead of the 2020 version, there's some upgrades to recruiting. There's some upgrades to the strategy screens that I think are going to make a big impact, a big difference to the way I play and like to play. And I as soon as I can, I want to play with it. And I know I've been the goal has been to stay with a team as long as I can to get 5-6+ years into a run, and I haven't been able to do that. So I apologize if it turns out that that's what's going to have to happen, but we'll get there eventually. And I'm still learning this game. It's so tough. One of the things that I've done, this season, for instance, is I really backed off on the schedule, gave us an easy non-conference schedule, and we struggled. But I'm hoping we've started to turn things around. We'll look at that before we get simming through some games. I'm hoping we might get close to halfway through the conference schedule. But there's a lot to catch up with this team and before we start simming games. So I want to go through and look at a few things first. First thing I want to look at is just the team, the way we're rated from last year. A big letdown. Using the same coaching staff, using the same guy to scout. Kristen Eschmeyer, freshman center last year, who was really, I think, our best player. I think he had I'd have to really go back and look at the episodes now, but I think he had a 4.5-star potential or a 4-star potential. He is now a two-star current player with 2 potential. His rating progression went down in everything last year except offensive rebounds. Passing went down, which I'll go into what that I think means for this team in terms of strategy. But everything across the board, he went down. So despite his size, despite having a good freshman season, 12 points a game, 5.6 rebounds a game. Despite that, despite the numbers being good, he really took a step back. And he's not getting the minutes this year that he got last time. One of the things that's, I think I mentioned it in the comments section of my last video, we've had some trouble, I think, with discipline on this team and fouling out, drawing a lot of fouls, a lot of turnovers. Maybe that's where he struggles. I don't know, but he's not going to be the player that I thought he was. Now, just to hit a little bit in recruiting, I was able to pick up another center to help us with depth in the transfer market. And I thought at the time this guy's going to be a backup, going to give us a lot of depth. He's going to help Eschmeyer. He'll have one more year of eligibility, maybe get to start his senior season. The way it's looking, unless Eschmeyer improves his numbers with, another season starting, this guy could be the starter. He comes from Texas San Antonio. He was a transfer in conference. You can see his potential in a lot of categories is great. Yeah, I think he's going to be a good rebounder. I think he's going to be a good inside shooter. For a big guy, his free throw shooting, it looks pretty good. He's potentially a better passer. So I was relying on, and he knows the Princeton offense, so which is something I've been using. I was relying on Eschmeyer for that reason because he was above average passer. I thought that would help us with that Princeton offense. This guy could be even better than that. So I'm looking forward to getting him on the team, but that's going to be next season. The rest of the team, we're mediocre at best. We've got one 3-star guy. He's a senior small forward. We've got a couple 2.5-star guys. The rest probably should be coming off the bench. We're having to start some guys that I would rather not. Delzell, for instance, he's leading scorer, 11.3 points, but that's mainly because he's had a couple of high-scoring games here and there, 21, 16. But he is what I've got. He's a senior. He's moving on. He's a disruptive force. I'm glad probably to see him go. I don't think I've ever had a team, and I think this is fourth, fifth team I've coached, fourth team in this playthrough, in this run with Draft Day Sports, the 2020 version. I've never seen a team with this many disruptive force players. We're struggling in terms of the caliber player we need to, I think, even have a winning record. I mean, this was probably a bigger challenge than I thought it was going to be. UAB, for instance, I think it had way more depth and upside than this Middle Tennessee team right now. And it's been a struggle. But that's how the ratings look. Recruiting, I've got 4 seniors leaving, 2 small forwards, 2 shooting guards. It's kind of the way I wanted to go in recruiting. I wanted to fill those positions 2 and 2. Hasn't been that way. Recruiting with this team is really tough as well, and a lot of it has to do. Our record last year was terrible, 10-19, but there's no real positives to pitch with this team outside of, you get a recruit in state, close to the actual campus where Middle Tennessee is, and you can pitch them on location. That's about your best bet. We're C+ in facilities, C in academics, below average prestige. We're worse than the conference, and the conference is below average. But that's fine. That's the challenge I'm looking for. I want to move both of these into 50 or above. I think would be a good result. But it makes recruiting hard. And so with those 4 slots, this is what I've been able to come up with. 4-star players, you can almost forget them. I mean, 4 and 5-star players, again, unless you get a good in-state recruit, and unfortunately, Tennessee didn't really have a whole lot of good shooting guards or small forwards really this year. I couldn't get any of those 4-stars interested, so 3 stars is about the best I can get. Now, I went with a 3-star point guard who is, I don't think this is a bad pickup for this school where we're at. I mean, he's 6th regionally at point guard. He's 30th overall. So I think there's something good to be said about getting this guy. And, his outside shooting is so good, I may be able to turn him into a shooting guard, but I think with his passing and handling, I think he's probably going to be a better point guard. We may just have to come up with whatever we can when it comes to shooting guard next year, because the only option I've got left at shooting guard is this 3-star out of Mississippi. I think he would be a good pickup because he's, his high school numbers are good. He's B at scoring and outside shooting, inside shooting. I think he's got some good upside. I think he's going to, looks like, the things that he knows and runs offensively, I think would fit with us. Again, regionally, he's a top 20, top 15 pick at shooting guard if we can get him. If we don't get him, and these other guys have already signed letters of intent, I've got a scholarship offer out to him. If we don't get him, we're done. I'm not going to waste a scholarship on these 1-star guys at this point. So it'll just be an extra scholarship we have. We'll have to piece together what we can at shooting guard next year to get by. There's just nothing left at shooting guard right now. And you can see this is what I was going with. There's no 4-star recruits in state that I was able to get too far along with in terms of recruiting. And just really tough to get the recruits you need to immediately turn around a program. And then was going to look at the strategy because I think that's what has hurt this team is we're not geared for the Princeton offense. And I backed up. It was when I first took over this team, it was something like 57 or maybe 60+% that they were going with that offense. I backed it up to 30. I'm going to back it up even further as we go along. I'm moving in more flex, moving out Princeton. I don't like going with 4 different sets, but that's what I'm going with right now until we can transition fully. I think maybe halfway through the season I'm going to adjust it even further if we're playing well. With this setup, might go 25 flex, 25 Princeton, something like that. Next year I might not even use Princeton at all. Although that center who's coming in off the transfer market, he might be good enough with a Princeton offense that I want to throw it out there occasionally. But stats-wise, I think the top scorers are not too big of a surprise. We're going with as well as moving back on from that Princeton offense. We're not favoring inside as much, and I made those changes about halfway through the non-conference schedule, which I'm going to go over that here in a minute too. You got Eschmeyer still double digits in points. Rebounds are pretty decent. And again, he's not getting the minutes he got last year. Outside of those two, Delzell and Eschmeyer, scoring's not been too good, but I think we've started playing better lately, moving away from that Princeton offense. So that's why I'm thinking that's the way to go. But this team, I still think that power forward, Craig has got one, he's 1 year ahead of Landrum. And you can see there's not a whole lot of difference between them. Craig is a disruptive force, for what it's worth. And Landrum has, pretty good. He's got a great work ethic. I don't want to lose this guy necessarily. I think we need him for the next 2 seasons. I'm going to pay close attention to this. I might start moving Eddie Landrum into the starting lineup, certainly giving him more minutes as we go along, because I don't. Again, I would much rather give him the play time. The problem is that he's got some good potential in terms of defense. Craig, though, has better current ability when it comes to offense, and I think we need the offense on this team right now because we've got several guys rated low, especially the point guard position. But I am seeing some better play out of Montgomery, who's the starting point guard of late. He's up +4 in assists. I wound up going with him as the starter this year again, even though, I'm not really happy with some of his ratings. But I think he's had a little bit better start to this season than he had last year, so I'm going to keep going. I'm liking the assist totals. I'm liking what he's done in these last 4 games. Overall, East Carolina wasn't that great, although I think East Carolina was good. 5 assists, 9 points, but you can see the last 4 games he's averaging over 5, almost 6 assists a game. I like that. So I think a lot of that's coming too from moving away from that Princeton offense. The more I think about it, this team, that's not the offense this team needs to go with. I think Eschmeyer's not the center I thought he was going to be. We need to put a little bit more fluidity into the offense, I think. Get some outside play. I think that's long-term how we need to handle it. Taking a look at the dashboard, this is kind of showing you what I'm talking about. So we went with an easy schedule this year, right? Here's their first 5 games. Lost to Idaho at home. Lost to Northern Kentucky at home. 8-point, 4-point spreads in those 2 games. So, fairly close, but those are gimmies. Those are gimmies for this type of program, I think. We lost to South Dakota on the road. Nevada, Las Vegas, toughest game we had on the schedule. They they just tore us up on the road. Lost to Missouri State, so we're 0-5, and I was just so frustrated at that point. That's when I started making some changes to the depth chart, changed the point guards around a little bit, and then moved back on that strategy, getting rid of, instead of favoring inside, went more towards a balanced offensive set, getting rid of, not getting rid of, but backing off of the Princeton offense, and you can see what it meant, what happened. From that moment on, we beat South Alabama, who, for what it's worth, I think they're in, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're in the American Conference, but no, I'm thinking South Florida, but they're in a pretty decent conference. Maybe it's the OVC. Maybe it's the OVC they're in. So, a comparable team. No, where are they? What conference are they in? Sun Belt. So, again, comparable, maybe just a tick below the Conference USA in prestige, but that was a good win. Beat a gimme, Sacred Heart. Lost by 10 to LSU, a good team, on the road. So, not too upset about that. Then we beat Alabama State, Harvard, really humiliated Harvard at home, and then biggest win of the season, last game of the non-conference schedule, East Carolina on the road. So we wind up winning 5 of 6, and we beat I think a good. I can be happy with that East Carolina win on the road. So I'm hoping that means something. I'm hoping that's a positive thing. We're 5 and 6. The goal this year is to, from their AD is to finish above 500, not finish last in the season, make the NIT. Good luck with that. I don't think we're going to do that. Improve school prestige. So if we keep that run going, maybe we'll do it. So that's what I'm looking to do. It's just let's just go ahead and get started. I think it's going to matter, though, how competitive we are in this conference. I really don't know at this point. Those first 5 games really scared the heck out of me. I was like, this is the worst team I've ever coached. I mean, even that Penn State team was bad. Yeah, so we lose our first one to North Texas 92-81 on the road. So we were 7-11 in conference last year. I would like to maybe get close to 99, 500. That would be good. So team-wise, we shot really well, especially from three-pointers. So I like the fact that moving away from, like with Delzell, dude's a good outside shooter, good free throw shooter. So moving away from favoring that inside, I think is the best way to go. But man, turnovers are still killing us. We doubled them up in turnovers. That was, I think, a big difference. And then they shot way better. I know I'm going primarily man-to-man defensively. I mean, in the past, I had some good success, for instance, with that Austin Peay team that I started this game with. We played a lot of zone defenses, and I thought, the numbers weren't too bad going with that defense. So might have to think about that, but it's probably too late to do a whole lot of change to that because I've been running it primarily. I'm like 75-25 between man-to-man and a 1-2-2 zone. But if we keep looking like this, I may have to do something about it, though. I may have to change it around. But here we go individually. Craig, a pretty decent game from him. Hall, not good. He fouled out. Eschmeyer again. He was dominated. Reynolds, a much better center, and it shows. He just ate him up inside. Montgomery, once again, some positives, but dang those turnovers. What's the problem here? His IQ, it's not that great. Man, these turnovers are terrible. That's just, that's where we got most of our turnovers there. And then Delzell, tied for leading scorer. Off the bench, Landrum again with 10 points, 6 rebounds. He was pretty good. Smiley at center, who's walk-on with virtually no ratings. And then I'm giving Jack more time at point guard, and he's responded to that. He was a +8 in his 8 minutes. So I think that that's a positive. There's not many positives to take from this game, but I'll live with that one, I guess. So we're quickly 0-1 in conference. And again, I think, like I say, 9-9. That's probably my goal. It's not going to get us above 500, but it will be quite a step up from where we were last year. And we're we're a terrible road team. So that's why that East Carolina win on the road I was so happy about, because last year, it was just something like 2-13 on the road. It was just horrendous. So now we got Western Kentucky. They're not a bad team. I think they made the NIT maybe last year. They made one of the postseason tournaments. It'd be nice to win here, and we do. Good win, 78-64. Craig again, with good point totals. Western Kentucky, maybe they had some seniors on their team last year. They might not be the team they were. Go back and take a look at that. Well, go back and take a look at that box score. That's a good win. I mean, double-digit win is, anytime I see that, I'm happy. So defensively, looked good. They were below 40% in shooting. We were at 50%. Good three-pointers. And pretty good from the free throw line. Turnovers, 16-13. So, we're still struggling there. But rebounds look good. And, man, Montgomery, plus 14, but 5 assists. He's scoring more games. He just needs to cut back on the turnovers. I'll look at that. The pace is something I think I'm set with the coach strategies. I don't think I can set it on the strategy screen. But I don't know if that's where he's struggling. I do like the assist totals, though. It looks like Jack wasn't as good in this game. He got some. And Webb scored 7 off the bench. So Montgomery didn't get as much time here either. So he didn't play a full starters minutes in this game. But Eschmeyer had a good one, 15 points. Just 3 rebounds, but plus 15 is good. Hall, 6 rebounds. Craig almost a double-double, 16 points, 9 rebounds. And then Dalzell, once again, double digits in points. So good there. Not much from the bench, though, outside of maybe Webb. So bench play wasn't there. But I was going to say, I want to look at the inbox first, but I guess I could, there's no real way to turn down the pace here, I don't think. It's just gonna be dependent on what offenses you're running. I know for me, I don't think it's under the practice plan either. I think it's probably under my setup as a coach. Offensive pace is average, so I don't know that I can really move it down much lower than that. So let's keep going. So that's a good win. I'm hoping that's a sign of things to come. Might try to get through first, anywhere from 6 to 9 games here. I'd love to get through the first 9 games though, without getting too long in this episode. I don't foresee, unless we have injuries though, I don't foresee changing too much with either the depth charts or the strategy for now. So I may be able to just kind of run it pretty quickly through these games. So now we got Old Dominion. Old Dominion's record's not that good, but that doesn't mean anything. They're right now one of the better programs in this conference. They're 1-1 in the conference too. Man, this would be a good road win. That can't do it. So 65-57. We'll take a look at the box score on this one. Yeah, we struggled shooting. That was the key. I mean, we've had a good run shooting, and it just ended with this game. We held them defensively, I think, really well. Close in rebounds. Turnovers were pretty even. Fouls were even. It was just we lost it there by not shooting as well. And Delzell was the problem. Dude put up way too many three-pointers, almost 20 attempts in all, 27 minutes. He had a really bad game. I don't know if I don't think it's going to do too much to tell this guy anything, because I think his attitude is just not receptive. But you can see field goal percentage, it's better than last year. And his free throw percentage is better than last year. And his three-point, maybe he just had an off game. I'm not ready to call him up and tell him to not shoot as many threes yet. Montgomery, that was telling. This is the worst game he's had in quite a while. Probably have to go back to maybe the Sacred Heart game, which we won, but that, against a poor opponent. He really struggled. And Eschmeyer, Craig, those guys had pretty good games, but that was what did it. Poor shooting, and maybe Montgomery just not having a good enough game for us at point guard. All right, so the struggle on the road continues. If we could win 6-7 games on the road, that would mean so much, for this team record-wise. Or any team, I guess. I mean, road wins are hard to get with this game. I'd be interested. I know until you get to some of these bigger programs probably who are able to have good records on the road, but I've never seen too many teams in the conferences I've been playing in with this game who have good road records. It's really tough. All right, so here we go against Charlotte. Charlotte 8-6. They're not a bad team. I wonder what they are in conference. 1-2. This could be a tough one. We need a win here, and we get it. 76-52. That may be our biggest win so far this year. And Delzell, for what it's worth, back to double digits in scoring. And he's not that important of a player, but I think he's showing we do need a good shooting guard. That's why I really wish we could get that guy we're aiming for in recruiting. So overall, defensively, pretty good. 42% shooting. We out-rebounded them. Turnovers, finally, we were better in that department. Individually, Eschmeyer, decent, plus 14, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Montgomery, a better game, but the turnovers, man, they're just they're killing him. They really are. He's a junior. I mean, depends on how that freshman recruit plays out of the gate. He might be somebody I can move around. Montgomery, his outside shooting is phenomenal. It's just, I don't understand how the game calculates it, but if you've got an outside shooting rating this high but a low scoring rating, I don't know what's the good in that. Because what I think that probably means is he just doesn't take as many attempts. But if he were to take the attempts, is his field goal shooting pretty high? 43%. It's not too bad. 3-point, 34. Well, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how that's calculated. But other than him, Delzell, he didn't take as many shots and he hit them. So that was a good shine from him. Tinsley off the bench, the other backup shooting guard, had a good game. Webb, +7. But Jack, I think, gave us better numbers, for the minutes he was out there. So really good win. And we're being, knock on wood, we're being way more competitive this year than last. We had such a tough streak. I think I forget if it was maybe 7-game losing streak last year in conference, but we never got off to any kind of a run in the conference last year. So I'm probably going to take a look at the standings after this next game, or maybe the next couple games, and see how our road record is. That's the thing. I don't know why we can't get a win or two here against close competition anyway. But I don't know, I almost hate to say this because every time I do, I jinx myself. So now we're going to be on the road against Florida International, who has the same record as we do, but they're 4-0 in conference. So my guess is this is probably going to be another road loss. Oh, and it was so close. 95-92. Some high scoring there from some individuals. I wonder if this went to overtime. No, just a high scoring game. So what can you say about this one? I mean, they shot 50%, were better from the line, rebounds were close, turnovers. Once again, we almost doubled up a team in turnovers. If we can just keep that in check, and I think that's Montgomery primarily. So we got to have a replacement for him. Right now we don't. Next year I think we could with this new recruit, but that's going to be a big difference having some better point guard play. Individually though, 22 points from Delzell. This guy's got to be averaging close to, he's at 12 points. Last year he was 7.4. He's getting quite a bit more minutes this year. 14 points for Hall. Craig, not too great. And then Eschmeyer, 7 rebounds, but not too good points. Off the bench, Webb, not too bad. I mean, I backed his minutes off considerably, but, I don't know if he's still okay relationship-wise. I don't know. I think Jack, I know it's not a whole lot of minutes that he's getting, but I hope he benefits from this. Giving him a little bit more, and I think that'll average higher as we go along. I'm giving him like 8 minutes in the depth chart this year. But that was a tough one. Man, that was so close to being what I'm talking about, the road win that we need. And that puts Florida International at 5-0 in conference, by the way. All right, so let's see who we got next. We just got to keep staying competitive. We don't want to go on some 3-4 game losing streak, because that'll really just tank your season like it did last year. And last year, 10-19. That's you can't get much worse than that. I don't think you can get. I don't know. You'd have to be a terrible, terrible team to get worse than that. All right, so we got Texas El Paso, man, 9-7 in conference. Yeah, is this one that we lose here? They're 3-2. We're 2-3. We really need this one, but this might be a better team. No, I'm liking this. I'm really liking this. We're way more competitive this year than we were last year, and I think it has to do probably with changing some of those things around. So after that 0-5 start, we've gone 8-4. And I always kick myself season after season because it's always something where I feel I look back. I don't know if you guys feel that way when you're playing this game. I look back and think, man, there was probably just 1 or 2 adjustments I should have made earlier, and I would have maybe had a better record. So This was a close one, but I'm seeing, defensively we held them to a lower shooting percentage, same amount of field goal attempts, and then we were at the line a lot more. So turnovers were close here, rebounds went to us, and then fouls was to our advantage as well. Individually, it's all over the place in terms of players. Like Aaron Hall's player of the game here. He's 6 rebounds, 14 points, a good game from him. No one player is like standing out to me. Eschmeyer, 9.7 rebounds. I hope his ratings improve. That's really disappointing that he could have been the player that we built this team around. And then off the bench, Tinsley looked really good. I know he's a senior, so I'm not going to get much development from him. But even Smiley, this guy's a senior too. He's a walk-on, but he's had a few games at center where he's looked pretty good. The big thing I'm paying attention to, though, is point guard. Yeah, it's pretty even. I think Jack has given you more assists when he's in there, but Montgomery plus 10, just not a lot of assists, and once again 4 turnovers. But we're competitive so far, and I want to check recruiting. I'm kind of letting it go because I haven't. All right, so Bailey, he's warm. I don't know. There's nothing really I can do much more to Bailey. Interested recruits. He's it. If he doesn't sign with us, I don't know what I'm going to do. I hope that these 10 schools above us in his top 10 are just schools that are way out of reach for him. But we're in the evaluation phase. I can't go pitch him right now, so I don't think there's much point in doing the calls. So let's go back to the games. I think I'm just going to go through next 3 games, and then we'll take a look at standings and things. We just need to catch a break. We need to win a road game is what we need. We need just 1 or 2 wins on the road, and I think that'll mean so much better, so much more for the rest of our season. At this point last year, we were struggling to win at all. Just wasn't happening. So, Alabama, Birmingham. This is a team we beat on the road, I think, last year. One of the few teams we beat on the road. They're probably a little bit better this year, too. They're 3-3 in conference. Let's hope this is it. We need a win on the road. We're not going to get it. 79-68. Gosh. This is... Again, I think until you get to a really dominating program, you're not gonna see this. You're just not gonna get the road wins. But we're probably 1, maybe 2 wins on the road this year so far. So team-wise, shooting wasn't as good for us in this one. 40%. They shot over 50. They out-rebounded us. Turnovers were pretty close. We had some foul trouble. Luckily, they didn't convert as much at the line, but individually, Hall, another good game from him. Craig, he's getting close to 10 points in scoring. His rebound numbers are pretty decent. Eschmeyer, man, he was handled here. He's now below 10 for the season in scoring. Montgomery, plus 7, wasn't his worst game, wasn't his best. And then Delzell, double digits in points. He's still the team leader in points. Bench play was terrible. I mean, that's where it really shows. A lot of minus double digits here. I mean, we were competitive. If you look at it, I mean, all 5 of our starters were plus when they were out on the floor. So it was the bench, I think, that lost this one for us. Guys like Bradford, for instance, he's a backup point guard, came out, scored 10 points off the bench. Um, we just, this is one of those where we may have had a chance on the road. Plus, they pulled away in the second half. All right, 2 more games, and then we'll close out this episode. Hopefully, we're not getting too long on time. We can't afford to lose another one. I think that's the big thing. At this point, we can't afford 2 losses in a row. But we're 2 wins away with what, 11 games left. We're 2 wins away from matching last season's total, 11 games left. That's how bad we were last year. Unfortunately, that's how bad we were. Oh, this is a tough one. This is probably the best team in the conference right now. They made the Final Four tournament, won the championship, conference championship, both regular season and tournament last year, won their first game in the Final Four tournament. That's a good sign. Okay, I feel a little bit better now. At least we're beating these teams at home. So we're I think we're close. I think we're making some improvements with this team. After really thinking that this was a tough one, after that 0-5 start. So what are we looking at? Defensively, I'm thinking this is probably how we won. Yeah, we held them to under 40% shooting. Rebounds, we out-rebounded them, and we were at the line quite a bit more. So turnovers, we won that matchup. Personal fouls, we won that matchup. Individually, Hall, man, this guy's been on a good run. He is a senior, unfortunately. But look at his game logs here. 14, 17, 15. Those are the points he's putting up. Rebounds, 6, 7 in a couple of these games. He's been the best player lately. Craig, not too bad from him in this game, 5 rebounds. Eschmeyer, though, man, he's looking even worse. He is really looking worse. We can't get that center, that transfer in soon enough. Montgomery, a good game from him. I think we win when he plays well. And then off the bench, I like Tremblay here, small forward backup. And then Webb didn't look good. Jack, I said it. I don't know if I said it earlier in this episode or one episode previously, but bench play has been poor with this team. Probably poorer than any team I've managed so far, coached so far in this tournament or in this game. So far we're just hanging around 500 in conference. It sure would be nice to end this with a win, whether we're on the road or at home, and then I'll take a look at the standings. One more win equals what we did last year. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. Now, if we finish out the last 10 games of the year here with a 2-8 record, then all that's out the window. What I just said. We need a good 3-4 game winning streak. Western Kentucky, we're match close. This maybe this is the road win we get. They are 2-6 in conference, but I feel like at this point even, I don't know that we're good enough to beat this kind of team on the road. Yeah, 20 points. They double us up. So it's we're getting better, but we're not where we need to be right now. So this takes us into February. We've got 9 games left. Individually, they had a better shooting game. I think it's going to be in turnovers, 20-10, and it's that one guy. And really, Delzell, I've noticed he's up there too. Montgomery's killing us with turnovers, and he's not the point guard we need. But I'm not ready to give it to these backups. Jack, I mean, you see, unless he gets way better, he's not going to be a starting point guard. So I'm stuck with that. I really am stuck with that position. Hall, once again, double digits, 15 points. This guy's going to finish out maybe his senior year strong, but yeah, what I'm starting to look for now is it time to move into flex again? Do I tick it up one more time? It's hard to know how much tinkering you want to do with the team. Let's take a look at the standings and schedule before I do anything else. So we're 4-5 in conference. That puts us tied with a few teams here, about in the middle of the pack. We got to get some road wins. Man, the only road win we've had was that East Carolina win. What's it going to take? But to the point I was making earlier, look at the road wins for these guys in conference. 5-8, 4-7. Those are the best records in this conference on the road. Look at it. Let's go to ACC. You got Georgia Tech, 6-3. Notre Dame 5-4. You got some teams that are with winning records on the road, but it's a little bit of a surprise. I think even these bigger programs struggle with that. Maybe that's something to think about. Well, here's Kansas State 6-0 on the road, Oklahoma State 6-3, and look, Kansas not having a great season here, about the lowest I've seen them ranked since I've been playing this version of the game. Maybe some of you guys weigh in on that. What do you see for your away records? I'm thinking, maybe I haven't really paid attention to that much in college basketball, but is the discrepancy that big? Like where you got a Texas team 16-1 at home, 2-4 on the road, and who are they losing to on the road? I mean, is the home crowd really that big of a difference? I mean, they lost to Gonzaga, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, so they lost to some good teams on the road. They're probably not the maybe the best team to test this theory, but I'm just curious. I'm wondering if maybe it's just something that it's weighed a little bit too heavy in the sim. But regardless, we're playing better than we were. We've got 5 of 9 games at home. And if you look at standings, so we got Florida Atlantic, Marshall, Texas San Antonio, and Charlotte on the road. Let's look and see how these guys are in the standings. So Charlotte down at the bottom, Texas San Antonio, Marshall, we might get lucky and win one or two of those. And who was the other road when we had Florida Atlantic? So Florida Atlantic's pretty good in the conference, right? But Marshall, San Antonio, man, one of those teams, one, maybe two, we might get lucky. Then we got North Texas, Rice, Southern Miss, Old Dominion, Florida International. So the home schedule, North Texas and Florida International, boy, they're looking really good. They're looking really good this year. So we may be able to with not in those 9 games. I don't know. We finished 7-11 in conference last year. We're 4-5 right now. I think it's going to come down to us winning. We could go maybe 5-4, but I think it's going to come down to us winning a couple of these games on the road to assure that we finish 9-9 in conference. If we finish 10-8, that would give us a record above 500 going into the conference tournament. So that would be awesome. But I don't really want to dream that high with this team, because this team is a long way away from being a competitive team. But anyway, I think we've run pretty long on this episode. I appreciate you guys supporting and watching the channel. Hope you enjoy this playthrough. Next episode, we'll finish out this season and see how far we can get before this 21 version comes along. So again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next episode.